Hello everybody, thank you so much for being here today. In this video, I'm going to answer one of the most frequently asked questions, which is where do I start if I want to incorporate a business overseas? I've come up with 13 factors that you need to consider when you want to incorporate or set up a business overseas. The first factor is you need to consider what your products are that you're selling. Is it services? Is it digital products? Or is it actually physical products? The answer to that question will determine how much playroom you basically got in terms of setting up overseas. A lot of the times, digital products as well as physical products and services as well will incur sales taxes. But depending on the location, sometimes you won't need to add sales tax on that. The next factor that is important to consider is where do your customers live and is it even important for your business? Meaning, are you only gonna sell and service the US market, or will you expand globally and are your clients sitting all around the world? This will determine whether you are more tied to one country and whether you need to comply with the rules of that country where you're servicing your clients, or whether you're free to choose and pick whichever country you like to incorporate because your clients are scattered all around the world. The third question I would always ask myself is, where in the world would you actually like to incorporate? And think about it in terms of, do you actually want to go and visit the country every once in a while? And do you want to have access to it? Do you want to live in close proximity to the country that you choose to incorporate in? Or is there a part in the world that you want to avoid? So ask yourself those questions that will determine to basically go through an elimination process when deciding where to set up. Then the fourth factor is consider the popularity of the location, meaning have a look at other businesses within the industry. Where are other businesses within your industry setting up? And do you require a certain status within your industry? Meaning, do you need to set up in countries that have a more reputable tax sort of certification, or are you free to incorporate anywhere, and do your clients and your suppliers and whoever you're dealing with within your business not really care where you're incorporated? That's something that you will have to determine on your own, and it's really depending on your own business. Then the fifth factor would be if there are any banking services available. So a lot of times I would highly recommend to not only incorporate a business, but also make sure that you have a business bank account with that. However, in certain countries, it's not as easy to open up a bank account as it is, in fact, to incorporate a company. So make sure when you decide on a country that you want to incorporate that you also keep in mind whether there are banking services available to you and whether you will have access to your money within that country. Then the next factor would be tied to the last one, the banking services availability. And that is, how will you actually access and collect the money from your clients? If you're an online business, will you require to have access to PayPal or Stripe or any other tools through which your clients will pay you? That will radically eliminate quite a few countries in terms of incorporation location, because not every country has Stripe and PayPal available to them. And that's something also that every business will have to determine on their own terms. Meaning, if you simply get bank transfers from your clients and are happy to continue in operating that way, then you won't necessarily just need to be tied to a country that has Stripe and PayPal available. Next thing I would highly recommend everyone to do is to investigate the corporate tax rates within that country that you're looking to incorporate. Meaning not just the country's tax rate, sometimes it can be a low corporate tax rate, but then also look into withholding taxes and capital gains taxes and the sales taxes. Because all of these little percentage or low percentage taxes will add up when you've gone to larger transactions. So investigate all of the tax rates and not just only exclusively the corporate tax rates. And then with that also, make sure you have a look at what are the relevant tax treaties in place for that country that I'm going to incorporate my business. That's going to be important in terms of determining whether they've got double tax agreement in place with other countries, whether they're looked upon as being a good tax country, whether the OECD is in favorable terms with them, if there are any controlled foreign corporation rules in place or not. It's important to know what the rules are, where you're going to establish your business, and what the potential risk and obligations with it will be. Next factor would be, where are you actually going to live? And the importance of that is tied to the fact that your personal tax residency is usually determined by the factor where you're going to live. So, meaning if you're living in a country that has controlled foreign corporation rules in place, so-called CFC rules, and potentially other tax obligations, the playground or the playroom in terms of setting up in lower tax jurisdictions are way more limited, simply because your home country or whatever you're a resident of may have really strict tax rules in place, and you want to make sure that you're not limited by them. Then next one is, how are you actually going to be paid personally? And with that, that's what it's usually called, repatriation of profits. And there are many ways to pay yourself. So whether you need to figure out within your business whether you're actually going to be paid on a salary, so by employing yourself and then making sure you comply with employment rules within the country that you establish your business, or whether you can pay yourself through management fees, service fees, licensing fees, royalties, dividends. Whatever it is, simply make sure you've got an idea of how you want to strip out the money out of your business. And then make sure you found out what the corporate service fees are. A lot of third-party providers, accountants out there will give you a fee cost of how much it will cost you to incorporate your business. However, later on you find out that it's actually not the final fee that they've given you. So make sure you ask from the beginning what the overall cost will be, what it will cost you to have virtual offices or using their local addresses, or whether you will have to need a nominee director to run that company, what the annual fees will be that you will have to pay every single year. Make sure you cover all your grounds and you ask them for what the company really needs in order to run itself and what you have to come up with in terms of fees. And then start putting together your filing documents, such as usually passport, residential addresses, sometimes a business letter, reference letters. Start combining all of those documents that are needed, and then you will be able to successfully incorporate your business. I hope those factors have helped you in figuring out where to start when you want to incorporate a business overseas.